I now extend my hearty welcome to our distinguished keynote speaker, Ms. Renisha Winston. Ms. Renisha owns iManager Publications, a scientific research publication company, and from bootstrap, she has been able to take the company to one of the most respectable research publishers in India. iManager Publications has 28 academic journals in scientific, technology, education, and management areas in print and online forms. iManager Conferences is part of the company and conducts well-received conferences in various fields. She is also the director of iManager Software Solutions Private Limited, a product company, a human capital management solution. Extenta HRMS is available in the market with operations in India, Dubai, and Kenya. She also owns iManager Printing Press, a multicolor printing unit, and iManager Magazines, which publishes content for the children. She is graduated from the Tamil Nadu Agricultural University and has worked with large organizations in the field of content development before setting up her own business. She is the recipient of Chief Minister's Award from MSME Best Entrepreneur District level honored by the Collector of the Kanyakumari District in 2017. She was nominated for the Young Creative Entrepreneur Publishing Award 2010 YCE Awards by the British Council and was adjudged one of the 6 finalists. And she has also received the Best Entrepreneur Award for the year 2013 by the Indian Overseas Bank. I now invite our distinguished speaker, Ms. Renisha Winston, to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you for the introduction and a very warm welcome to everyone. Let me thank everyone present here and my special thanks to Professor Dr. Ganesan for this opportunity and also for the NFED team for arranging this conference and this opportunity. So let me start with my presentation. The topic for today's keynote is challenges in academic publishing. So it is very important for all researchers to understand research and the importance of research. So research empowers us with knowledge. Though scientists carry out research, the rest of the world benefits from the research findings. The purpose of research is to inform action, gather evidence for theories, and contribute to the developing knowledge in the field of study. In short, research expands the knowledge base and builds a credibility, and also it forms a base for future research. So the image which I've shown here is interpreting diagnostic test for SARS-CoV. It was actually published in JAMA, a medical journal. So this image I purposely added here to show the importance of research in our everyday day-to-day lives, because every person who went to the RT-PCR test would have seen this research diagram in their RT-PCR test results. So that shows how research touches humanity and how research adds to the healthcare and other areas. So what are the challenges in publishing research? So there are two major challenges. One is selecting the right journal for publishing and also the right publisher. So I'm coming to each and every point at the subsequent slides. So when we think about selecting the right journal for publishing, the current number of journals as per leading indexing sites, I try to take the recent data. Web of Science has around 24,766 journals. Scopus has around 34,346 journals, and DOAJ has around 18,650 journals. So number of journals published by leading publishers is nearly 13,500, with Springer publishing around 3,026, Elsevier publishing around 3,026, Springer more than 2,900, Taylor and Francis more than 2,700, Wiley 2,000 plus, Scialo 1,800, Sage more than 1,200. So all this put together, it is nearly 13,500 from journals only from the leading publishers alone. So it is worldwide, it is estimated that there could be more than 50,000 academic journals. That is like journals which are registered with ISSN. But there are also other journals, which are available in the public domain. So it could cross, it is afraid to have crossed more than 1 lakh journals. So out of this 1 lakh journals, around 25 to 35,000 journals are peer-reviewed journals. So when I talk about journals, it includes traditional print journals, online journals, and also open access journals. So how do you select the right journal? See, we all, when it comes to the research publishing, the first or the highest in the pyramid is SCI journals. The top tier journals are covered by Science Citation Index, Social Sciences, Arts and Humanities, and Emerging Sources Citation Index. The next comes Scopus or SCImago ranking, whereas all SCI journals could be in Scopus, but not all Scopus journals may not be in SCI. And then there is a Publish or Perish by Harsing, which is a software program that retrieves academic citations and analyzes academic citations. And then there's a Cabell's list and Ulrich Webb's directories. So Ulrich Webb directories also classifies whether a journal is a peer-reviewed journal. So then again, coming to the challenges continuing with that, open access journals has been the rising trend. So I'll give a short history of how open access journals came into the picture. Because like when the world, the publishing industry started from 1600 onwards, right from the introduction of the printing press. But as time moved, society journals were the norms. And then society journals were publishing research and it was discussed among themselves. And then when the print media became popular, the print journals became more predominant till the 1990s. And like the subscriptions were, it was dominated by few big publishers, the top 5. So, and these top 5 publishers were controlling the knowledge at that point of time. And like also the subscription costs were so high, and open access came actually as an alternative to the high cost subscription journals. So the major ones were PLOS and Biomed Central, and they started a new trend of open access journals where the author pays for the paper and the paper remains open for the rest of its period. So it is open for anyone to see these articles which have been published. So how did it come to? So open access journals, that was the history behind open access journals. And when open access journals was increasing, I think the people saw it, or like rather than I would say it, publishers saw it as a very big medium. And more number of journals started moving to the open access culture. And this led to a subset of journals called predatory journals, because I'm very particularly highlighting few points, because predatory journals were like exactly like open access journals, but they were not following any of the policies of academic publishing, or like they were not carrying proper peer review. And like it was like anything that was not publishable got published, or like very mediocre research also got published through predatory journals, and predatory journals opened a forum for mediocre journals to get published. So all open access journals are not predatory, but most predatory journals are open access. So that is one major point. And also I would like to talk about hijack journals. So what is hijack journals? So we saw in the previous slide that there are many, we go through all this SCI Scopus journals, and these hijack journals actually like replicate the exact names with minor modifications. If it is A and D, they will add a symbol in from that, and like they make people believe that it is the original journal, whereas it is not the original journal. And they do some Google analytics and they come to the top. So when a researcher searches for that, there is every prospect that the researcher will go and get into the hijack journal and publish the paper there, which is of no value to them, because like finally like these hijack journals are also getting into Scopus, Web of Science, and also even UGC CAT. So like we have to be very careful in while selecting the journals for publishing. So on the whole, like when we are publishing in predatory journals, we are contributing to a pseudoscience, which is, every researcher should be very careful about that. And like we should not contribute to pseudoscience, because like it is coming out of non-peer review culture. So is publishing fee a new normal? It is a question like I would like to throw to every participant here, because like I believe being from in the publishing industry for the past 20 years, and I believe that publishing fee is not the right way for journals to go ahead. Like, because content is the king, and like the content is prepared by the researchers. It is your knowledge, it is your intellectual capacity. And like, I feel that the authors or like the researchers have every right to publish it in the right forum without a publishing fee. So why do we publish papers? Because as we discussed in the first slide, we want to touch humanity in some way. We want to advance science. That is why like papers are getting published. That is why I believe that researchers here are into research. So that because that is the only or the primary reason every researcher should have, that publishing papers should be for the advancement of research, science, and also touching humanity in some way. So there are also other concerns in academic publishing. See, in recent times, you could have come across rising cases of retractions. So retractions in the sense, not one or two papers, huge retractions happening across major publications. IEEE retracts 500 papers, Springer retracts 700 papers, Elsevier retracts 800 papers. Why is it happening? Because these retractions are happening because the retractions are linked to some way like these major publishers getting tied up with institutions with conferences, and like the focus of the conference and the partnering journal might be different, but there is no proper peer review system that is followed at the editors level at the institutions. So like they just taken as many papers as they can, and there is no, if it is a journal on geosciences, you see something related to music there, which is absurd. So like that is why like the publishers came up, and like when they found out there were like absurd papers in such huge numbers in their databases, they retracted these papers in huge numbers, and it also led to few journals being removed from Scopus recently. I could cite few examples of the Journal on Positive School Psychology, the Arabian Journal of Geosciences, etc. So then what are these predatory journals doing? The predatory journals are also creating citations. So recently there was a paper published in Scientometrics which said there are 300 predatory journals Scopus, which is actually polluting the literature polluting the academic literature. So we need to be very careful on the kind of papers we cite, the papers we are adding to the existing research literature. So the open access culture is also leading to exorbitant article publishing charges, that is like paying for the papers ranging from 300 to 11,000 USDs. So Nature is charging 11,000 USD, which is like, it's unbelievable like how this open access forum is leading into. And there is another issue, like there is a limited readability and life cycle of an article. It is said that 90% of the articles are read only by the authors and the journal reviewers and editors, which is a very sad fact. Because is this why we are doing research? Is there some way that should be like the paper should be identified? Because like you are targeting a particular segment of people. You want your papers to be read, to be shared by people, for people to understand and take something out of it. That is the purpose of research, but that is not happening in majority of the papers. So, and then the archival freedom for authors. So I'm talking about something called green open access to authors. Green open access means the authors have, like immediately after publishing, the authors will have a copy of the PDF and they can share it in their institutional repositories with proper citations. But except for the open access journals where like you pay and it's perpetually free. Otherwise, in the subscription based journals, I'm talking about like a very highly priced subscription journals, they have an embargo till 12 months. Even the author has to pay to reach out their article, to see their article, or even to cite something out of it. And another major factor is a journal in which you are publishing should be in continuous publishing. Otherwise, like if it is there for 10 years and then you don't see the journal, like it just becomes an archival journal and there is no value which the researcher gains out of it. And also there is something called content recommendation systems. See, many of us know like Amazon, Flipkart or Netflix, all these have content recommendation systems. They recommend other products. The similar way in academic publishing also we have few content recommendation systems called TrendMD, and like they recommend the article. Like let's say there's an article on educational technology. This article will be recommended to other journals which publishes such articles on educational technology. So it is a major way of, for the author to suggest their article to other researchers for citations and possibly like reading. So this improves the readability of the articles. So you need to, like, as researchers, you need to be very careful about all these areas and make your own decision and intuitions on where you want to publish your papers. So how to identify good academic journals other than Web of Sciences corpus? Because I believe only the cream of researchers will be able to reach Web of Sciences corpus journals. But it is not the trend nowadays. Everybody wants to get the papers in Web of Sciences corpus. But I think that is not the right trend, because going with, as a researcher, the first thing is like you need to get your paper through a peer-reviewed journal. So you need to understand the process, what a peer-reviewed journal expects, and how you can improve your research. And from there, like, you publish a couple of papers in peer-reviewed journals, you understand the process, and then you move on to Web of Sciences corpus. But today, every new researcher, even they want their first research paper to get into a Web of Sciences corpus journal, which is totally absurd. So there are a few pointers which I'm showing that to decide that whether it is a good journal. The journal follows a double-blind review. It has a prominent editorial board. It has a very low acceptance rate. I'm giving a very decent acceptance rate, 25 to 30%, abstracted in leading databases such as EBSCOhost, Procus, Ulrich, have ISSN and EISSN. If it is an online journal, you should be able to view the current and past issue abstracts. There should be clear information on the author guidelines and the peer review process. They should have a digital object identifier for each article. They should provide green open access to authors. And the last point, I'm leaving it to the public's contemplation. It should have no publishing fee.
Wow.
Understanding the publishing process. So, like, talking from the publisher side, because I've been at this part of the spectrum for the past 20 years. So as researchers, you only see the other part of the spectrum. So I would like to give you pointers on, like, understanding the publishing process. The process takes minimum 2 to 3 months to a maximum of 6 months in a good journal. Also, once you submit a paper to a journal, it is checked for relevancy. That is, if the paper is suitable to the scope of the journal. You cannot publish a music-related journal in a geosciences journal. That is totally absurd. You are not catering to the audience of your journal at all. So, but nowadays, like in open access journals, the trend is, if you pay, you can get any article which is out of scope of that particular topic. Also, I'm seeing, like, in sustainability and in journal, I'm seeing papers which are totally unrelated to any other field. I don't see machine learning. How can it be related to sustainability? So there are many factors that you as researchers need to think. Next step is plagiarism check. The similarity percentage should not exceed more than 20%. And then if the paper does not clear the steps, that is a plagiarism and relevancy, in a good journal, it is rejected even before moving to the review, which we call as desk rejection. The peer review process takes the most time and might involve multiple rounds of revisions. So it might go forth multiple times, because, like, till the paper gets into the proper format the publisher expects it to be. So what are the criteria to publish in a good journal? Points to consider before submission. You need to take into consideration the scope of the research, the relevancy to the journal, the similarity percentage, the reference citations, the structure and presentation, the research base, the research importance, research outcome, the future scope and global perspective, and the publishing ethics. So in the structure and presentation, there are a few pointers. Like, if you see the papers which are already published in such journals, that would give you a pointer to you on what the journal exactly is publishing. So, like, a good academic paper has the following structure and presentation, with a title, abstract, keywords, an introduction, literature review, research method, results, discussion, conclusion, reference citation, figures and tables with acknowledgement. I'm talking about a research paper format. So in the structure and presentation, again, there are a few areas. I will try to fastly run through this. So the title should be concise and descriptive. The abstract should give a short description of what the research is all about. The keywords should be helpful for indexing. Introduction should make the paper compelling to read. The literature review should talk about papers related to the work. The research method should talk about how the problem was studied. The results should give the research results. the discussion in many Indian researchers' paper, I find that they have a problem in the discussion section. They're not able to correlate their research with the past literature. So, I mean, like that is something that as Indian academics, we need to improve upon. Interpretation of the results, conclusion, how it might change the present and future scenarios, and reference citation, you have to adhere to the journal style, figures and tables with illustration and headers and footers, acknowledgement, sources and help should be given in the paper. And the structure and presentation, I also try to give how, I mean, what is the exact number of pages a good research paper should have. The title should be short and informative, abstract 1 paragraph, less than 250 words, introduction 1.5 to 2 pages, literature review 3 to 4 pages, methods 2 to 3 pages, results 5 to 6 pages, discussion. These are only pointers, so you can just go through it, but there should be minimum of 20 to 50 references. Like, so that is the kind of, the more you read about a research topic is when you get your own idea on how your research is going to be. So there are also few other criteria. The publishing ethics, like the sentences, figures and data must be original. Data and errors must be truthfully reported. Collaborations, every author who is involved in the process should be kept informed on all important decisions. Plagiarism should be avoided at any stage of submission. Dual submission, you cannot submit to 2 journals at the same time, so that like the effort of the publisher should also be respected. And withdrawal of paper after peer review is unethical too. And I have tried to give MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, and Vancouver type of citations. So you can just go through that. So also there are important steps to consider in publishing is after review, you have to address the revisions meticulously, address comments received from the reviewers and avoid oversights, resubmit by the deadline, understand that the revision process might have multiple rounds. Provide explanations if you disagree after a peer review, improve the language and grammar, respect the reviewer's decisions, and understand the process takes time. See, I'm trying to give all these pointers because like on the overall, if there are challenges in academic publishing, in finding the right journal, if a journal is following these process, you can come to a conclusion that the journal is a good journal. And this journal will give you a forum for your research to get noticed. So there are common mistakes that authors also do. That is, one is formatting issues, sending to the wrong journal or editor, grammatical and spelling errors, too few or too many references, missing references, revealing identity of authors, tables and figures being wrongly cited, wrong data in tables. Main reasons for rejections are not clear about the contribution. Why? See, when a research is getting published, it should have its focus. Why this research should be published? So you should sell that idea to the journal and the publisher. It should come through your paper. So not well positioned to the journal. The discussion is weak. Conclusion is not aligned with the introduction. Outdated references. Major methodological problems. Plagiarism and not responding to the reviewer comments. These are the reasons that why your paper might get rejected. So the future of academic publishing, as we come to the closing session, is open access for all. Are we ready as a society? So I'm just throwing this question because I just want to understand. I don't understand the point why open access. Open access came in a parallel way as a substitute for high cost subscription journals. But is it the right model? Because open access, like, do you think a researcher who is interested in nanotechnology would read something on medical research, I mean, which is not relevant to him? Or at least like if it is a journal on social psychology, would they be interested in reading a journal on geosciences? So why it is open? Like, I mean, open access, we are not adding nothing more to the, it is just like, we are just making our available content there for people to see, but there is no real outcome of open access. Second, content databases. I'm actually like, there's one more point I wanted to add here, because governments are also becoming one-sided to support open access, which is not the right way, but the future could be content databases. See, like recently I could give an example because WHO came with the COVID literature. So they collected papers which were related to COVID literature from all major publishers, and they gave a database. So anyone who wants to, and it was free, completely free, and anyone who wants to read COVID related literature, they can go to that particular database and get the papers. It is still live. And this is what I feel is the future for academic publishing, where we should have content-based databases, like something like nanotechnology, you have a separate database. If you have cancer research, you have a separate database. Climate change, you have a separate database. And so the researchers who are working on it also get a forum to see other papers, and which will all be open access. And when you have open access content databases, yes, that makes a lot of sense. So what are the suggested databases for UN SDG has 17 goals. So being a part of the UN SDGs Publishers Compact, I mean, we have suggested that we should have databases on each of these 17 sustainable goals, because this is what like we are adding value to humanity. If there are papers, no poverty, I mean, I think every one of us wants to see a world that is free of poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education for all, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequality, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on a land, peace, justice, and strong institutions and partnerships for the goals. These are very important goals, and like every paper we publish, we add this related UN SDG to that particular paper. We tag that to these goals. So about iManager publications, as I come to this session, a few pointers about iManager publications. We've been in academic publishing for the past 20 years, 38 peer-reviewed journals. We have published 7,000 plus research articles so far, 10,000 plus academic subscriptions group, and 500 international subscriptions. We've been indexed in more than 20 plus academic databases. We are available in world's leading libraries. Articles have been published through recommended reading in a lot of libraries worldwide. And I welcome you all to follow us in our social media pages. Thank you all for the opportunity. And again, I thank Professor Ganesan and the NFED team for this wonderful opportunity. My congratulations to the past keynote speakers for the wonderful presentations, and my best wishes for the next one which is coming. Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Renisha Winston. That was rather an extensive presentation on the publication challenges and its importance. Thank you so much.